all the way from Morocco. I hope you all are doing well, and I am really excited to share this video with you today because we have transitioned to our next country. As you can tell, it's a little bit of a loud one, so if you hear any traffic or horses going by in the back, that's totally normal. But we left Finland and came over to Morocco for our next portion of phase 2 of nomad life. So I have a lot of stuff to catch you guys up on. Today is actually the very last full day that we are in Morocco. So I have been collecting footage and clips and all sorts of fun things to share with you in a vlog about this country. And we have so much to go over. We've been here for about 6 weeks in total. We did something a little different this time, and we did some 1-week stays in a few different locations leading up to our home base. So I'll get into that shortly. But if you're new here, my name is Jess. My fiance Steven and I are digital nomading, which means we are taking our lives on the go, and we stay in different places for about 1 month at a time. So in these vlogs, I'm sharing with you all of our travel adventures, and we really digital nomad because we both have such a passion for traveling and experiencing our beautiful world and just living life to the fullest. So I hope you enjoy coming along on the adventures. If you do, definitely subscribe to my channel and like, comment, share, all the things with these videos. It means the world to me, and I'm just so excited to share this portion of the journey with you. So why Morocco? Why did we choose to come here? The short answer is that logistically we needed to leave Europe after 3 months. If you are an American traveler, you get 90 days in the Schengen area of Europe, which is the majority of the European countries that you would think of. So we wanted to do something still in the same quote-unquote region of the world, but obviously outside of the borders, so we can go back someday. So we decided to look south and go to Morocco. And also I have another bucket list item, which is to go to all of the World Showcase countries at Epcot at Walt Disney World in real life. So Morocco is actually my second to last one, which is crazy. The last remaining country is Norway, so eventually we'll get there. But for now, here we are in Morocco. So I would say Morocco is very unique. It is hustling and bustling. It has a lot of beautiful architecture. As far as the language goes, there's actually a lot more languages spoken here than I expected. And the most common one is going to be Arabic. And there's also an indigenous language called Berber. We got to visit a Berber village while we were here in Morocco on our 3-day desert excursion, which I am making a vlog about. It might already be posted, it might be posted soon, so stay tuned for that. And the other language that is commonly spoken with tourists is actually going to be French. I didn't know that French was so prominent here, but historically that makes a lot of sense. And of course English is spoken too, not by everyone, so we were definitely utilizing our Google Translate app, but we didn't have any issues really getting around, which is very good. So I'm actually gonna recap a bit of our journey here with you because we have had quite an adventure. So like I mentioned, we had 2 additional weeks coming into Morocco than we normally do. Typically we stay 1 month and home base at an Airbnb so we can get the monthly rate, which is sort of our strategy for nomad life. However, with Morocco, we had some interesting situations come up, so we ended up having 2 single weeks in different places. So our route throughout the month and a half we were here was that we spent a unexpected week in Casablanca, then we went down to Dakhla, and then our home base was in Marrakesh. Let's start at the very beginning on how this all panned out. We're gonna start at Casablanca. Why did we stay for a week in Casablanca? I would love to tell you. You may have seen our engagement vlog from Finland when we did our Lapland road trip. If you haven't, highly recommend watching it. It's very sweet and beautiful and magical. So we got back to our home base in Rovaniemi after the engagement, the road trip. We're on our post-engagement high, and literally about 48 to 72 hours after the proposal happened, we found out there was going to be an airline strike in Finland on the exact days we were supposed to travel. So obviously getting from Rovaniemi, Finland, which is at the top of Finland, down to Morocco, which is in Africa, is not an easy direct route by any means. We didn't know how that was all going to reschedule, but we knew that we could not fly on the days of the airline strike, or we were going to have canceled flights. And with our Schengen time coming to a close, we needed to get out of Europe as soon as possible so we could make sure we were not exceeding our 90 days. So what we had to do, we called Capital One. Thank goodness we had an amazing representative who worked on our case for hours to make sure everything got rescheduled. It wasn't even an additional cost, which was such a huge blessing. I'm very, very thankful for that and for Capital One. And our flight route was actually a lot shorter, thank God, because I think it was about a 21-hour travel day originally, and it turned into a 10-hour travel day, which is much better in my opinion. So the only thing about this is that it was a 4-leg flight. So there were 4 separate flights that we would be going on. And when we originally booked this, we booked the final leg from Casablanca to Dakhla. Dakhla is very small, so there's only so many airports that fly into it. We had booked that on our original dates. So that was going to be about a week forward. So the other 3 flights were all grouped and booked together. So that's what we had to adjust. So since we were moving those flights up and our Casablanca to Dakhla flight was about a week later, it looked like we were staying in Casablanca for the week. So thankfully the Airbnbs in Morocco are not very expensive. I think we found a place for about $50 or $60 a night, and that was a godsend for sure. Everything got changed, everything got booked, and we headed out of Finland to Morocco to Casablanca. So we arrived in Casablanca. We had a pretty easy travel day, thank goodness. It was long, it was 3 parts, but everything was on time and smooth, and we made it to our Airbnb, which was great. But I will be transparent with you, I was not mentally in a great place when we were in Casablanca. We went from very Arctic, very cold, very peaceful Finland to one of the biggest cities I've ever been to, and I believe the biggest city in Morocco as a whole. Casablanca was crazy, crazy. So I think also just the overstimulation of not only the city, but since we had just gotten engaged, I was telling all my friends and family, and I was spending hours on FaceTime, and I got very burned out. I was also trying to get work done, and my capacity for handling things was very low, and my body was not feeling good because of the extreme jump in temperatures. And we were trying to cram in a week and a half of Finland activities into 3 days, and it was just a very abrupt shift. So I just was not feeling my best in Casablanca at all. So pretty much we went out to eat at a couple restaurants, and we went to the main mosque in town, which was so beautiful, by the way. That was our first real exposure to Moroccan architecture, and it was gigantic. It was larger than life. I've never been in a mosque before, and even if you do not practice, you are able to go inside the mosque with a tour guide there. So that's exactly what we did, and it was just so stunning. It was very peaceful. The ceilings were so high. There was just beautiful tile work everywhere. It was like nothing I had ever seen before, so that was really fantastic. The other highlight of Casablanca was going to Rick's Cafe, which if you've seen the movie Casablanca, you know Rick is the main character. So there was a restaurant in Casablanca that was themed to the movie, but the real draw was the upstairs where they had a Casablanca themed lounge. So they had movie posters, a gambling board, a bar, the movie playing on screen, and that was really, really cool to see. I love Casablanca the movie. I was a big fan when it was in the great movie ride at Walt Disney World at Hollywood Studios. You know, I love those great movie ride movies. The city of Casablanca is nothing like the movie. However, it was really cool to go to Rick's, and I'm so glad they have a restaurant dedicated to the movie, because that would have been a huge missed opportunity. Besides those few things, I will tell you, I pretty much spent the rest of the week at the Airbnb. I was ordering some food delivery a lot of days, just trying to get the minimal computer work done that I could, but I was in total burnout mode. So that was Casablanca. And then finally our time came where we were gonna head off to Dakhla. Dakhla is next. So We chose to go to Dakhla because of Selina, actually. So we love the hostel brand Selina, which is a boutique type hostel brand that is all over the world. We stayed at Selina's in Costa Rica. We did their co-live program. And basically what that means is you purchase a bundle and you can hop to up to 3 different Selina properties within that month, which was really helpful. We got to see a lot of the country there. We've also stayed at the Selina in Paros, Greece during phase 1, and Steven also stayed at a Selina in Peru. So we know and love the brand, so we thought, why not check out one of their Morocco locations? We really went to Dakhla for Selina. They also had an amazing Black Friday sale, which is really what drew us out there. And we were actually traveling with friends this month, and they were big Selina fans too, because they are digital nomads too. So all the stars aligned for us to go to Dakhla. So people don't really go to Dakhla that much. It is really a town for kite surfers. It's in the Western Sahara Desert, and it's also near the water. So you've got this water and desert vibe going on, which is really interesting and really cool. I love that because it was best of both worlds. The Selina property was absolutely stunning. It was very desert boutique feel. And we walked in and checked in. We each had our own little bungalow, which was really nice. Steven and I stayed in one of the deluxe bungalows since there were 2 of us, just to give us a little bit more room. But what was really unique about the Selina property is that since there were all these different bungalows, there were no sidewalks, there was no grass here, it was all sand. So you walked out of your door into sand. You walked to the restaurant in sand. So
I think there needs to be more sand.
You better talk to somebody about that.
Yeah.
So this property was just really interesting. We were in for a ride. We had no idea. We were really out in the middle of nowhere. I don't think I've ever stayed somewhere so isolated before, but that was something we needed to get used to. So the closest town was about 30 minutes away by car. We did not have a car, so the only option we had was to take a transfer through Selina, which was $70. So as you can tell, we did not do that often. We did it one time, and it was to get some groceries, and that was it. So we just made the Selina our little desert oasis. When we were at the grocery store, there was a woman there who was American, and she was like, what are you guys doing here? I have never heard Americans in this grocery store ever. So people don't really travel to Dakhla very much. It is pretty much a kite surfing town, and that's about it. Besides our one trip into town, we really stayed at the Selina property all week long. So we had access to one restaurant, and I feel like this restaurant was a main character in our Dakhla story. We never knew what was going to be on the menu that night, and we had about 3 options to choose from. So you were just, you know, you were just open for the ride, whatever happened. And we had everything from very interesting chicken spaghetti to, we had some fish, that was pretty good. And I don't even know, I think I blocked a lot of the food out of my memory, but we definitely had chicken wraps for lunch, and that was a joke in our little group. So you know, gotta have a chicken wrap. I think I'm good on the chicken wraps for a few months or years at this rate. So, and I forgot to mention, we were traveling with our friends Zach and Sam, who Steven met when he was traveling to Peru, and they are also digital nomads, so they get this whole vibe. We all get along so well. We had so much fun together. We're all definitely travel people. We have very similar styles in how we travel, so it was very easy to coordinate this with them. I know that joke, like, we got the trip out of the group chat. I think we had one FaceTime call with them, and we had Morocco in the books. So I'm very grateful that we all have the ability to coordinate things and make it happen. So we've had a lot of fun all together. Anyways, we would meet up for dinner every night, play Monopoly Deal in the restaurant. We were just, you know, that was our vibe. We were pretty much just chilling, working, and eating at that one restaurant for the week of Dakhla. There were a lot of flies at Dakhla. They were buzzing like crazy, no matter where you were. In your room, out of your room, by the pool, in the restaurant. It was a lot. So that is a memory from there. The pool area was absolutely stunning. The pool was freezing cold. Steven actually jumped in once. I was very proud of him, but I could not get myself to do it. It was so cold. The weather in Dakhla was really interesting because it was really cold a lot of the time, and then during the day it would get really hot. So very drastic temperature spikes there, and it was off season too, so there were not a lot of people at this hotel at all. I think when we checked in there were about 21 guests total that day, so that was really interesting and definitely a different vibe. Again, I've never been somewhere so isolated before. It was really, really interesting. And as you could guess too, with my mental health being really difficult the week before in Casablanca, it sort of translated into this week too. So I was a little bit up and down for sure during Dakhla, which is why I didn't do a full vlog of everything. I was just really in a burnout state. But thankfully, since we weren't doing a lot, it did give me a lot of time to really rest and recover. So I am grateful for that. So what else happened in Dakhla? We got to do yoga a few times, which was really nice. That was a great way to start the day. Got some sunshine after being in the Arctic for a month, which was really nice. And then on our last day, we decided to actually leave the Selina. We had a weekend day, so we just made it our one excursion day. We did a catamaran cruise in the morning, which was really fun. When the four of us traveled together last time, we were in Athens, and it was Zach's birthday, so we did a catamaran cruise over there in Greece. So catamaran cruises are kind of a tradition for us, so we did one in Dakhla, and this one was a lot more chill than the one in Athens, but it brought us to Dragon Island, which was really beautiful. It was a completely desolate island. There was nobody there besides us, and I think it was called Dragon Island because of the structures and the rocks. It looked like dragon scales, at least to me, which was cool. I thought the sand was really interesting. There was like that black and white sand with different streaks. That was so unique to be in there. There is nothing like a desert environment. I've never seen anything like it before. Even the islands were really unique. So that was fun. We did a little quick dip in the water, and then we took a little break in the afternoon and then did a desert jeep safari at night. So that's where we got to go in an open air jeep with a driver out into the desert. It was so cool, so much fun. We've got to bring our speaker, we played music, you just have the wind blowing in your hair, you're out and there's just sand for as far as you could see. We got to do sandboarding down the dunes, which we kind of turned into sand sledding because Zach tried to stand up going down the hill and it didn't go well, so we were all strictly sitting down for this experience, but it was really fun. I was kind of nervous because it seems high, but it's a pretty smooth ride down. So we finished the desert jeep safari with seeing the sunset over the water, which was really beautiful. So that's pretty much what we did there. And then also, before we wrap up the Dakhla story, the most important part of Dakhla is there was a litter of 10 puppies that were born on property, probably a couple weeks before we got there. They were tiny, tiny puppies. There was a beautiful blended family. So there was the dad dog, who I have such a special place in my heart for. He would hang out with me all the time. He would walk me to dinner because I would work in our bungalow and Steven would work in the co-work. The dad dog would walk me from my bungalow to the restaurant every night for dinner, which was so cute. He was my buddy. We were hanging out. So there was the dad dog, of course. He was so sweet with his babies. It was so cute. And then there were two moms. There was a mom with gold fur and a mom with white fur, and they were both so sweet, but they were very skittish. They really did not get near you at all. The mom with white fur specifically wouldn't even come near you even if you had food, so you would have to put food down and walk a few steps away for her to get close. She was a little territorial too. It's funny because if we put food out and the puppies tried to eat the food, she would get mad and she would growl at them. But she was really, really sweet, and you know, both of them were nursing these puppies and they needed strength. You could see their ribs, like you could tell they were hungry, so we made sure to help them out there as much as we could. So I spent a lot of time with these dogs. Again, the adults were very, very skittish. Even the dad, who I was really close to, would not let any of us pet him, which was completely fine, but we built up trust to at least be near each other. He trusted us with the puppies, which was really fun. There was also a fourth one we named her Bambi. She looked like a beautiful deer. She was so graceful and just beautiful. She would only be around at night. She wasn't really part of the family directly as far as we could tell, but she would hang out with them, her and the dad dog. They kind of looked like siblings. We suspect they were siblings. So anyways, the puppies themselves, though, they were so precious. They were so little. The the first day I saw them, I just watched from afar to get to know the dogs so they could get to know our scent. The second day, I just spent a lot of time sitting there, and one of them actually climbed into my lap and fell asleep, and that's when I knew I was in with the desert dogs. So I visited them every day. There was a litter of all different colors. There was one completely white one, and then a lot of them had different colors. It could have been like a brown combination, a reddish tone, all sorts of things. One had a little pink nose. They were so funny. They were very playful. They would either be super energetic and all over the place, or they would all be passed out and sleeping. So it was fun. It was a fun time. They helped my mental health so much. They helped me cope with a lot of the things I was struggling with. My resiliency just wasn't as strong as it usually was for a lot of changes, so it was nice to have something to really keep me present, something that really warmed my heart, and they definitely really helped me with that. So I'm very grateful for those puppies. That was genuinely my favorite part of our time at Dakhla, at Selina. I think about these puppies every single day. I really hope and pray that they have beautiful lives, because I'm sure it's not easy to live out there in the desert. So I hope as they grow older, they really find their way, and I wish I could have taken them all home. Genuinely, I literally think about them every day. So anyways, that was Dakhla. It was such an interesting week. It felt very long. Like every day felt very drawn out, and maybe it's because we knew that we had Marrakesh coming up soon, where we would have 3 weeks, but the 3 weeks in Marrakesh felt faster than the 1 week in Dakhla. But I think it was good to have a week to really rest, recuperate, not do a lot of things. At the end of the day, we really did enjoy it. It's one of those things that I think really bonds a group of people who are traveling together, because it was just such a unique experience. You know, just between the isolation, the eating the same meals every day, like the little quirks with the hotel and the flies and all sorts of things, but it was fun. I think that place is really well suited if people wanted to go for maybe 2 to 3 nights. I think a week was a bit long, but if you are looking for a desert oasis and to not do anything, it's kind of perfect for that. I would just bring some of your own food and snacks. That's really the only thing that I felt like I didn't have accessible, so I'm glad we did make one trip to the grocery store. So just to recap everything, we had Casablanca first, Dakhla second, and then we ended our Morocco journey in Marrakesh, where we stayed for our typical 1-month home base. And Marrakesh was definitely my favorite of the 3, so I'm happy that this is where we were staying all together. We got to stay in a riad with Sam and Zach, our travel friends, and spend a lot of time together here exploring this city, doing some really cool excursions, and just getting to know Morocco from a traveler's perspective. So I have a lot of beautiful clips to share with you about Marrakesh. I'm going to make a separate video just dedicated to Marrakesh because we have a lot of cool things to go through, but I did want to give you a story time and a recap of Casablanca and Dakhla, just because they were such memorable times of this nomad journey, and I think it pulls back the curtain to show that everything isn't really always picture perfect, if ever. I think a lot of times on social media or in videos, it's really easy to just show the highlights, which of course happen too. There's so much beauty to this journey, but there's always things happening behind the scenes. There's always a travel mishap, or maybe mental health is getting involved, physical health sometimes, or just crazy plot twists that you never expect. So I think it's good to just give you all sides of the story, which is really fun. So I think I covered everything there as far as Casablanca and Dakhla goes. So we're gonna move on to Marrakesh next. Again, I'll post a separate video of that, so be on the lookout for the next part of this vlog. Kind of think of it as a part 2, but it is going to feature the colorful Medina, the marketplace, some really beautiful gardens, and some amazing architecture, and a tour of our riad as well. So I will see you then. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this journey, and we'll see you for Marrakesh. Bye!